And hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of My Isolation Podcast. And today we'll be talking about Secret Invasion, the brand new Marvel Disney Plus series that just wrapped up a little over 2 days ago. Wrapped up on Wednesday. I'm also recording it today on Friday, the 28th. Don't know when this episode will be uploaded. It'll be uploaded either later on today or at some point tomorrow. Depends on how how long this episode takes to render, really. And yeah, so today we're talking about Secret Invasion. I did say in the last episode it was either going to be this or Barbie. And just a quick update on that. So basically, yeah, so I'm doing Secret Invasion today, and then I have seen Barbie, but Alex has not. He's probably going to go see it either Tuesday or Wednesday. Then we'll probably record it Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So basically, hopefully you'll get a Barbie episode next week, either on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much an update with it, and yeah, so we've got a lot of TV show to delve into today, so let's delve into it. Before you get into that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go over my thoughts on all the other Disney Plus shows as a whole. So I think I did mention this in my first episode when I recapped the whole of Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where I said that a lot of these Disney Plus shows I feel pretty much the same about, where I kind of have the same opinion as 3C Films, which if you don't know who he is, you should go watch his videos because they're actually really good. Very entertaining YouTuber. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description so you guys can, somebody can check him out if you've not listened to him yet. But I pretty much have the same opinion as him, really, where they start off really good. I'm like the first episode, I'm getting really into it and everything, and then the finales are always the things that let them down. The only and that's what causes me to because a lot of these Disney Plus shows, I don't hate them, but I don't love them either. Like the only ones that have truly come out being like, oh, that was great, that was fantastic, were Loki season 1 and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that was it. The rest of them, I just thought were all right. Like they start off really strong, really interesting, and then come the finale, that's when that's when start. That's when everything falls apart. They stuff way too much stuff into them, and then the finales just feel really rushed, and nothing really feels like gets resolved, or it just feels very unsatisfying, really. Like they have to all this kind of build up, and then the finales come around and it gets rushed, and it just feels, and the finales just feel rushed, really. And and again, I think I may have said this before in the first episode, I can't really remember, but a lot of these shows don't really feel like TV shows. These feel like movies that have been chopped up into episodes. And that's not really how you make a TV show. That's not how you make a TV show. Because a lot of these generally they do feel like movies. That got chopped into TV shows, and they don't really feel self-contained. They feel like things that these shows at most points feel like I have to watch these in order to understand the next few things going forward. And I get people are like, oh well, that's what the MCU has always been like. But the thing with the early phases of the MCU was that it was a bit like that. But you didn't have to watch everything though to get everything. You know what I mean? Like they would make sure that the casual viewer who didn't watch Thor or Captain America or anything like that, where it was still caught up with what was going on. The only movie that really recommended you watch everything would have been Avengers Endgame. I would say, like even Infinity War, I would say, at the Endgame definitely. Infinity War, you could probably, you didn't have to watch that in order to get, the ending of Captain Marvel, or even Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think you said Quantumania for a second there, but that's the third one. We don't talk about that film in this house. Not in this house, no, because that film's fucking shit. I've got a whole episode on that if you want to listen to why that's the worst MCU movie ever made. And yeah, so a lot of these feel like they feel like homework in a way, because especially with this one, where in order to get this one you have to have watched Captain Marvel, And then to get the Marvels, you have to watch this show, and you have to watch Miss Marvel and the first You know what I mean? This feels like homework that a lot of audiences are just sort of starting to turn off a little bit. And yeah, so so that's pretty much what my thoughts on the Disney Plus TV shows are like. Because again, a lot of these don't feel like a lot of these really don't feel like TV shows. If you watch ones like even shows like from the ABC area, like Agents of Shield, Captain Carter, the Netflix stuff, like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all that stuff. Runaways. They like depending on like depending on who you ask, the quality can jump up and down. But at least they feel like TV shows. They're written like TV shows. They're paced like TV shows. They feel like TV shows compared to these, which feel more like movies. So with that out of the way, though, just to give a quick little spoiler warning, because I'm usually quite bad at giving these. I keep forgetting to get these out, but I've written these in my notes now to add a spoiler warning. But spoiler warning, I'm going to be talking about the whole series. I'm going to be spoiling everything in this. I ain't holding back on anything. So if you've not watched Secret Invasion yet, or if you're waiting to binge the whole thing in one day, go watch it, and then come back here and listen to my thoughts. But if you don't care about the show, then just sit back, relax, and listen to me talk about Secret Invasion for maybe possibly an hour, depending on how long this episode takes. So as I said before, these shows, they get let down by finale. They start off strong, get let down by the finale. Except for What If. What If I didn't even watch the whole of that because I wasn't interested in that. But what about this show though? Did this show fall into the same pattern? Well, overall, yes, it did. This show is pretty much the same as all the other Marvel Disney Plus shows. It starts off really good, really strong. I get really into them. But the finale, I was keeping my eye out for the finale. I was saying to myself, you know what? When I got to episode 5, I was like, I'm still into this show. I'm getting really into it. But that finale, I'm gonna watch out for that finale. I'm gonna, feel like, in case that lets me down. And yeah, the finale let me down. It felt very mid, as people tend to say these days. I guess it was a very mid series finale, like all the other series finales for these Marvel Disney Plus shows. So let's go into it. The first thing I want to talk about is Nick Fury as a character. I did like his arc in this show. How I liked how he finally got his time to shine. Samuel L. Jackson finally got to play the leading role in this because Nick Fury has always been more of a secondary character. He's always been a guy in the background. Not in the background. But he's always played second fiddle to the big heroes. Like he's always second fiddle to Iron Man or Captain America or Spider-Man. Or Captain Marvel. But in this case, he finally got his time to shine. This is his show. This is his story, and I'm glad we finally got that. I just wish it was I just wish the show we got was a little bit more, stronger. But I did like his arc in this though. I did like his arc how, how after the blip, how we saw the blip affected him in many ways, how it changed him. It wasn't the same Nick Fury as we saw before. Getting as he says in the finale, it finally he finally felt what peace felt like. And obviously, we had obviously that was Gaia disguised as him, but when that was said, but even though still we still finally found out how that changed him. He's not the same Nick Fury as he was before. He even gave up his eye patch. He stored that thing away. He's not Nick Fury without his eye patch. It was really interesting to see how it affected his character and showing how his character, evolved, grew throughout the story, and how it was kind of him trying to get back to how he was, and rediscovering who he is. Obviously, he's not completely the same Nick Fury, because obviously the whole thing with the president, when he orders people to kill the Skrulls, and the president says, the old Nick Fury would have known that, but get off my planet. But it's definitely a theme of kind of rediscovery in a way. He's trying to rediscover himself, find himself again. Because he does feel that there is a theme of feeling lost in this show. That I'll go into a little bit. And it was good seeing Samuel Jackson take center stage. Samuel Jackson's always been a good actor, always been a terrific actor. And it's always good to see him play a leading role. It's definitely playing at a character that's a little bit more serious than some of his other roles, like when he was the main character in Snakes on a Plane. And the de-aging for him as well. I feel like I'm convinced at this point that Samuel L. Jackson is the only actor that can be de-aged successfully. because because in Captain Marvel he's DH throughout the whole thing, and you can. Excuse me, sorry about that. But you can't tell he's been DH. Like you cannot tell at all. It's very well done. Unlike other actors, like even with Michael Douglas at the start of Ant-Man and the Wasp, no, the first Ant-Man movie, sorry, and the flashbacks in Endgame, you can tell it looks good, but you can tell he's de-aged. And then you can tell, like Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones Style Destiny, you can tell he's been de-aged. You can tell Mark Hamill's been de-aged in The Mandalorian. Like de-aging most of the time, you can tell it's happening. You can tell it has happened, like it's been done. You can tell it's been done. And with Samuel L. Jackson, that's not definitely the case. I don't know why this is, but he seems to be the only actor ever that can be successfully de-aged. Because it still looks really good, in the flashback sequences as well, when they cut back to him in the 90s when he's talking to, when he's talking to the Skrulls at the beginning and telling them, I'll help find you a home, but you have to help me keep this world safe. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And there's a feeling of guilt with his character because obviously, he'd never, he didn't find them a home. Like, he couldn't find them. Him and Captain Marvel, they scoured the universe left and right for one, and they couldn't find him anywhere. And, the Skrulls have finally just gotten fed up with waiting for him to deliver on his promise. And they're sick and tired of it. And that's why, they kind of, they vote Talos out of the, of the Skrull, Skrull leadership. And replace him with Gravik, and yeah, Nick Fury's character in this was really good. It was probably one of the shining highlights for me. Also he has a wife now. when did this happen? Like that, he has a wife. He has a Skrull wife, which was crazy. To learn that, and but it was interesting though, and it did make sense because obviously in Captain America Winter Soldier, he does bring up the fact that the wife kicked me out, and at first you think that he's just taking the piss. So the fact that he was actually he was telling the truth, like Nick Fury's married, he's got a wife, and she's an alien. I feel like and it did also show why he cared a lot about the Skrulls because he fell in love with a Skrull and he married one, and that shows why. When the president's like, why do you care about these Skrulls? And that's because he fell in love with one of the Skrulls, which was sweet in a way. It was a nice little relationship to give Nick Fury. It's something for him to try and fight for, even though she tried to kill him. In episode, what was it, 4? I think she tried to kill him off, but she couldn't do it, and he couldn't kill her. Which showed the love they had. We really kind of showed that they do care for one another. But yeah, Nick Fury, I did enjoy Nick Fury's character, and it was good seeing him again. It was good seeing him take center stage, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again in the Marvels, particularly because the last movie he was in was what? Spider-Man? No, Far From Home. I think that was the last one he was in. Yeah, that was the last one he was in. Yeah, because in that one it was actually revealed he was off-world in the spaceship. And yeah, so Nick Fury was one of the biggest highlights for me, but it's Samuel L. Jackson, so I feel like it would have been. Talos, I also really enjoyed. I really enjoyed his character in Captain Marvel, and also at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, when it was revealed that he was pretending to be Nick Fury the entire time. I've always enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn as Talos. I always thought he was a good character. And again, this is showed another side of Talos, because when we first meet Talos, he's trying to kill Brie, and he's Brie Larson. He's trying to kill Carol Danvers. He's trying to kill Nick Fury. Is what he wants to give, but then you find out that he just wants a home for his family, for his people, and he's the leader of his people, and he's trying to find them a home. And there's a lot of grief to Talos in this show, because obviously he's lost his wife, who was killed off screen, which was quite shocking to listen to hear, to find out. He lost his daughter. His relationship with Gaia broke down completely, and she sided with Gravik. He's a broken Skrull. He's a broken man. Well, he's a broken Skrull, Talos, in the series, and and at certain points as well where you could see maybe part of him wants to go against Nick Fury, like when they're trying to get information from another Skrull in that warehouse, and Nick Fury's like, I'm gonna shoot you if you don't start talking, and then he does, and then Gravik's telling him, don't do it, don't do it. And Nick Fury shoots the Skrull anyways, and Gravik's like, I told you not to. There are times when you could see that maybe Gravik wants to go, like part of him wants to go to Gravik, sorry, when Talos wants to go to Gravik's side, and but he knows that he can't, because he knows deep down that that's not the way forward. That's not the way for his people, because obviously that would turn the humans against his people, which does happen at the end of the show, unfortunately. He wants to live in a world where humans and Skrulls can coexist with each other, and he feels like they can get that with like showing them their good side, showing them peace, like when he's saying that to Gaia, and Gaia just goes, you're a fool for doing that. And his relationship with Gaia is really quite interesting, because they start off quite distant from each other, and then he reveals to Gaia that Gravik killed her mother, which was weird. I don't know why Gaia didn't know about that before, but all right. I know the Gaia was away from her very long, but even so, but yeah, you really feel that kind of that relationship between the two of them that's broken, and he's trying to repair it. So when they do come back together, they're sitting on that bench and they're talking, and the last words she say to him was that she's telling him that you're a fool for thinking that we can coexist with humans. We can't. This only ends one way, and unfortunately, Guy was right, because at the very end, the president decides that Skrulls are dangerous and they need to be killed. Yeah. And Talos' death in this was really shocking, especially when you consider the fact that especially when you consider the fact that, and this is the same with Maria's death, which I'll get into in a bit. But death's not really a thing in the MCU. A lot of characters we think get killed off, they end up coming back, and now with the multiverse, it's a bit like it kind of removes that in a way. It kind of removes the stakes in a way, because it's like, we can just go back to the multiverse and get a new version of this character. But even before the multiverse, death was never really a thing in the MCU. Characters who died or we thought died always came back. Like we thought Bucky died in the first Captain America, and he comes back as Winter Soldier. Just as a example as top of my head. But yeah, it's the fact that Talos died and Maria died, and it looks like they're not coming back. There's even a part when Maria died when we think that it could be a Skrull disguised as her, but she doesn't transform back, and it reveals that she's dead. She died, and she ain't coming back. Which is a shame, really, because I did like Maria's character, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we got to have some stakes in here, people. We got to have some stakes. We can't have everybody just coming back willy nilly all the time. We've got to have some stakes in this. In this universe, but yeah, but you can also tell that even though he wants to, even though Talos, there's those moments where he thinks that he could side with Gravik. We also do get a sense that he fucking hates. We know that the reason why it's never gonna happen is because he fucking hates Gravik. Because obviously Gravik, he turned his daughter against him, he killed his wife. And the scene in the cafe when he just straight up just stabs Gravik's hand with a knife, and he's like, he just tells him, you better watch your fucking back. He doesn't actually say those words, but that's pretty much the implication that he's giving to Gravik. And it's a proper badass scene as well. And Ben Mendelsohn does a great job in this role, and it's a shame that he'll never come back to another MCU project, but he probably wants to move on to other stuff. He's a good actor, and he's probably going to go on and do some really good things, I imagine. So yeah, Talos to me was a pretty good character as always, and he'll be missed in the MCU. It's just a shame that that the show he went out on wasn't as strong as it could have been. Emilia Clarke as Gaia. Emilia Clarke is a great powerhouse of an actress, and she does the best job she can give for what she's given. But what she's given isn't really interesting. Gaia is not a very interesting character to me, and she's very. I get what they're trying to do with her, but I just found that character a little bit bland. And Emilia Clarke kind of looks bored in this show. Like she doesn't look very interested in what she's doing in this show, in some scenes, and in most of her scenes really. And obviously there are some scenes where like when she's fighting Gravik and stuff, you really feel Gaia's the power Gaia has to defeat Gravik. But even so, Amelia does look quite bored in this. But again, like, we do hint. Gaia is obviously coming back in the MCU at some point, as we see at the end, in the end credits scene, when we're with that room full of all the bodies who's set up to the tubes, where they're obviously like hiding out their all the bodies that they're using to mask themselves, the scrolls anyway. And she's obviously coming back. Well, she's overpowered now, so she's definitely coming back. And hopefully they'll give Emilia Clarke better material to work with in future MCU projects. I hope so. I've got my fingers crossed, because Emilia Clarke really is a powerhouse of an actress, really, and she does deserve better material than the material she was given in this. But one actress who definitely wasn't given bad material was Olivia Colman's character, Sonya Falsworth. Olivia Colman is like Emilia Clarke. Olivia Colman is a fantastic, great actress. She's now an Oscar award winner, which still shocks me to this day. Like, Olivia Colman has an Oscar. Like, what world we live in where Olivia Colman has an Oscar? Because she's one of the UK's, she's one of our greatest actresses. She was in so many great TV shows, and obviously she did Broadchurch. Her character in Broadchurch was fucking fantastic in that show. And she was in The Favourite, a fantastic movie which won an Oscar in, and was well deserved in my opinion, because she did a great job in that movie, and she does a great job in this. She's given great material to work with, unlike Emilia Clarke. Her character is very quippy and quirky, but very savage. And I like how she has a very frenemy kind of vibe to her in a weird way, where you don't really know like whose side she's on, and she can jump from one side to the other side, and she can be quite savage as well in some scenes, like when she's torturing the scroll, like she inserts him with that serum that lowers, I think she makes him cold or something like that, and you can see the pain and torture he's in, so she can try and get information out of him, and she's always one step ahead of the game, she knows when the trapdoor is, so you can get out quickly. She's always one step ahead of everybody. Again, you don't know you don't really know which side she's going to really be on, as well. And also, Olivia Colman and Samuel Jackson is not the collaboration I thought I was ever going to see in my lifetime. But here we are, and it's a great collaboration to see, to be honest. She and Sam, Samuel, they work so well with each other. And yeah, they have great scenes, they have great dialogue, they have great chemistry with each other. And it's just such a bizarre collaboration to really get your mind around that. Having Olivia Colman and Samuel Jackson in the same scene together, which is just crazy to me. But yeah, Sonya was a great character. Horrifying and unpredictable, which made me intrigued with the character more. And I'm glad her character is also going to be coming back in future MCU projects, moving forward. And I can't wait to see where she turns up next, especially with her, because at the end when she and Gaia team up. You're going to see, and I love how brutally honest her character is at the end, when she's let's just get that out of the way. I'm going to use you. You're going to use me. That's how we're going to work together. It's it's brutal honesty, but hey, Gaia is massively overpowered now. So I feel like you got somebody like Gaia now. You've got to start telling that girl the truth. You got to be honest with somebody like Gaia now, because she's OP as fuck, which we'll get to later on. The last character I want to talk about is Gravik, the villain, but played by Kingsley Ben-Adir. I think that's how you pronounce his name. If not, I apologize massively. And I thought, for the most part, Gravik was pretty good villain, I would say. I think his death was pretty weak, to be honest. I thought that was pretty weak. That was pretty weak for him to go out on. Excuse me. But I do like his connection as Nick Fury. How again, Nick Fury promised him and his people at home, and Nick Fury ordered him, had them working for him, having him kill people and everything. It really kind of messed him up. Which would mess up anyway, especially when you consider the fact that I think Gravik didn't he start working for Nick Fury when he was quite young, very very young. And the fact that Gravik again, he used the skin of the first guy he ever killed as the skin as the body that he's using to imitate, which is just bizarre, which is crazy to me. But you really do feel how Nick really let him and his people down, because he did let him down, and the anger and the hatred he has towards Nick Fury, for laying down his people, and the fact that he is responsible for Talos' death, and the conflict between him and Talos of where they hate each other, and was really good to see. And he was just seeing him with all them powers as well, like him like using them to his advantage, being really quite powerful. I thought was really good. Again, they don't really do much with it though, because they've only got like 30 minutes in the finale when he gets the powers. When he gets all the powers, he has some powers like in episode 5, but he doesn't have all the powers of the Avengers and all the other characters. And yes, you really do feel like that. And also the fact that he killed Talos' wife, you feel that connection between rivalry between him and Gaia in the last episode. And Kingsley's performance in this is really good. Like, he really conveys the kind of the pain and the suffering that that Gravik is going through. I really like how Gravik's people actually turn on him towards the end, because they realize how much of a monster he really is, and how he just kills them all. Like Nick's going through and they're all dead, like they're all fucking dead. And it's a shocking image to see, really, how Gravik kind of promises people the world, and then he just straight up decides, nah, I'm going to kill you all, and he just kills them, which is crazy. So that was really good. Gravik was a really good villain, but it just went out really weak. I wouldn't say he was a strong villain. Like, I wouldn't say he's one of the best MCU villains ever put to film on TV. Like, if anything, the best MCU villain to me is still the Kingpin. From the Daredevil TV show, which is canon. I don't care what people say. Daredevil from Netflix is canon, in my opinion. And Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is the greatest MCU villain of them all, even better than Thanos. I'll probably go into more into that when Daredevil Born Again eventually comes out, which we'll see when that comes out, because all the delays and shit, like, and all the delays and stuff like that's been happening recently with the strikes and all that stuff. And yeah, so that's all the characters done. Let's talk about some other things with the show. Let's talk about the introduction, the intro, the opening sequence, the opening credits sequence, to be exact. So I had no idea it was AI until after I watched the first episode, and I saw an article talking about how it was made of AI. And I'm gonna be honest with you, having AI make an TV opening credit sequence is a terrible idea. I don't understand why you would want to do that. A lot of the images that they generated with the AI look really ugly, to be honest with you, and just unsatisfying and just really uncomfortable. And there's a ton of you would have gotten a much nicer and much more better looking opening sequence if it was made by a human on a computer, not AI, but by a human, you're making storyboarding it out, and then using Photoshop and stuff like that with their own two hands. Because AI really is becoming like a dangerous tool to use really. And we've got the fact that with the strikes and stuff like that, how movie studios want to use take an extra's likeness, and then use that likeness to then own that likeness, so they can't do much work and only pay them for a day's work and stuff. And it's like, who's gonna fucking agree to that? AI is really becoming a massive issue, and the fact that, again, I do not agree with Marvel really using it to make an intro when you've got tons of talented VFX artists out there who would happily make a much better and honestly a much more interesting in opening title sequence than the one we have that's been generated with AI. Because again, the images look fucking ugly. They look ugly. They look so ugly. I saw a concept online where somebody took we can live together kind of posters where Skrulls interacting with humans, and it's we can live together kind of thing. I feel like if you use stuff like that, images like that would be a way better opening sequence than just generate some images with my eyes. I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't understand how AI works myself. So maybe I'm missing something. I don't really like the idea of making having an intro sequence being made entirely from a computer. Apart from that as well, the intro, the main theme tune just wasn't very interesting. It wasn't a very great theme. I get that, the idea of trying to do this kind of political espionage kind of thriller thing, like the Captain America movies, but at least those ones had catchy, not catchy music, but interesting music to listen to. This one is just do 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 do. It's that's just not interesting. That's just boring. It's just a very boring music for an introduction for an opening title sequence. And yeah, so I watched it for the first episode because I wasn't aware that was made by AI. But you can bet your ass that I fucking for the future episodes I just clicked that fucking skip intro sequence and then just tap the 10-second button twice just to get rid of him. Because I blazed through that because I skipped that thing hard. I was like, I'm not watching an opening sequence made by AI. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, it's just not that's just not happening anymore. Well, ever really for me. And yeah, so yeah, the opening title sequence was just not very good. Not very good in my opinion, and probably one of the weaker aspects of the show overall. Let's move on to the action sequences. So the action sequences were good, like per usual, really, with Marvel shows. Like Marvel action sequences are always good. Like the opening action sequence in the first episode, particularly set in Russia, where they're trying to stop the bombs, and then like there's that cool shot with graphics, just he pushes the button, and you've got that fantastic, amazing like explosion just behind him. Like stuff like that was really cool. The final fight between him and Gaia was really cool as well. CG wise, it looked alright. Most of the CG in this show looked alright, to be honest. Like it didn't look unfinished or anything like a lot of previous Disney Plus shows have in the past, and a lot of Marvel movies in the past have, if anything, because of how overworked the VFX stylists are. So they didn't look that bad really, and they did feel a lot like Winter Soldier, Civil War action sequences where they did have a bit of a gritty kind of feel to them as well, while still containing the more fanciful kind of elements of the MCU, but still have that kind of gritty kind of tone to them. And they're really quite gory. This show was really quite violent as well, like proper gory as well for a Disney Plus TV show. Like you saw like fucking people like Skrulls getting fucking bullets in their heads as well. Like that was insane. It was really quite violent as well for a Disney Plus show. Like I don't think I've seen that much violence in Disney Plus show since Moon Knight. I think, yeah, since Moon Knight last year, and that was an interesting thing to see. But yeah, the action sequences were fine. They were fine. They were serviceable. They weren't that memorable though. Like these aren't like action sequences that you're gonna like walk away from the show being like, oh, remember that action that you're gonna remember. But they weren't like unsatisfying. I wasn't bored watching the action in this sequence. I was still quite entertained by them. It was just that there's not very. I wouldn't say. I would say they're just not very memorable, really. But there were, but even with the action stuff, even with the action was quite good. Was still pretty good, as well, and you still enjoyed them. Like ones where they're interrogating. That was it. That was the word I was trying to remember earlier. Interrogation, like they're interrogating people, like people in the house, and everything. As well, like there were really some shocking moments in there, like when when it was revealed that Rhodey is a Skrull, when it was revealed that the Skrulls had actually been keeping the bodies as hosts, which reminded me a lot of that Doctor Who episode, the Doctor Who two-parter from Series 9, the Zygon two-parter, the Zygon invasion, the Zygon inversion. I think that's the order they come in. I can't really remember. But those were the titles. But that reminded me quite of that, because obviously they picked, when the Zygons, got hold of Clara, they kept her body, so they could keep the shell, keep the skin open on the Zygon. And it's kind of the same here. Like that was really cool. Maria Hill's death, as I said before, that was really shocking, and Talos' death as well. I wasn't really expecting that. I was like, oh, okay, this is quite interesting, because Maria Hill, as I said before, she's been in the MCU for God knows how long, like since the first Avengers movie, really, and she's been around the block a few times with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just and the fact that now that she's gone now, like Maria Hill is just gone, that's quite sad. But there were quite a lot of moments. Like again, with the interrogation scenes, you could feel the tension, suspense. Like are they going to shoot him? Are they going to not shoot him? Or the opening sequence, example, when the Skrull is imitating Everett Ross's character, but Martin Freeman's character, and at first you don't know. At first you are thinking to yourself, is he a Skrull? Is he not a Skrull? And then they have that fight scene, and then when he escapes and he's being followed, you think, okay, he's not a Skrull, and then he gets shot, and then and then the scroll's revealed, and you're like, oh shit, he is a scroll. Like, they really did play around with the who's a scroll, who's not a scroll idea, which I really liked about that, really, because it kept you on your toes, but you were like, who's you don't really know like who was who, who was really themselves. So when you found out that all these kind of like world leaders as well, they were also scrolls, which was quite shocking to realize that that this world has had scrolls for God knows how long. Maybe not as long as Rhodey's been a scroll, which we'll get into in a while. But the fact that they did play around with that. There were quite a lot of shocking scenes in there, but probably not as shocking really as the reveal of Nick Fury having a wife, Vara. And I thought their connection was really good as well. The chemistry was really good. I liked seeing the flashbacks where they were seen, flirting with each other, which was really cool to see. And I was like seeing their relationship kind of, evolve over the show, and them trying to reconnect with each other. And you could see Nick Fury wants to be with her, but he always has to leave. And you could tell that she wants to be with him, but she's kind of just used to him leaving. And she does very nearly kill him because of Gravik's orders. But she can't bear herself to do it because she loves Nick. And Nick in a way, Nick loves her in a way, and and she's like, and then they go after her, but she is able to fight them off in the house. That was actually another good action sequence for me. The action sequence in the house, in their house, that was a really good action sequence, to be fair. Never thought Nick Fury would have a house residing in England, but there we are. I believe it was in England anyway. I could be wrong on that, but yeah. But yeah, actually, speaking of which, a lot of the locations as well were really, like there was a lot of UK locations as well. Like one in particular that did catch me off guard was the use of Liverpool Street Station, in episode 3. I want to say it was either episode 3 or I think it was 3. Yeah, it was definitely 3. It was 3 because I remember that was the episode where we found out that Rhodey definitely was a scroll. And obviously she's walking through London Liverpool Street Station, and what's crazy to me there was I used to work there. I actually worked there. I wasn't working there when they were filming that scene. I didn't start working there until November 2022. I don't work there anymore. I just recently left. But it was just so cool. It was just so weird just seeing like my old workplace like used as a like set for a film or for a Marvel show. Which is crazy to me. And don't get me wrong, like, because even when I was working at Liverpool Street Station, I would see film crews there quite often. So I know for a fact it's probably a popular kind of location for filming stuff. But yeah, like just seeing it on screen was just bizarre. And I was like, wow, like, yeah, like one of the one of the shops and stuff that I used to like work at there like changed the name recently, and because they filmed this in June 2022, I think they filmed the Liverpool Street Station scene. And they'd obviously changed the name earlier this year of that shop, and so it was weird seeing her kind of walk past that old shop with the old name in it. I'm not going to say which one, what the name of the shop is, but yeah, it was crazy. That was crazy. But yeah, obviously, yeah, like their relationship was really good, and it did show it showed like why Nick cared so much about the scrolls, because he fell in love with one and he married one, and the ending where she flies up with him into space. And she says like, "Oh yeah, I've got to come back. I do need to go back because my work is important here." Which again we'll see. I really hope this isn't the last we see of them. I kind of hope Vera's in the Marvels. When we get around to watching that, if that ends up getting delayed again. But we'll see. But I do hope she's in the Marvels. I hope she comes back as well for future projects. And as well, there was another little hint to the mutants as well. There was another little bit more mutant seeding in there. I believe there was a book. Let me go quickly look this up because I've only just remembered this, even though I haven't got my notes open. There's still stuff that I'm talking about that I remember off guard. And sets up the. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see this here. So Priscilla, that's a human name. Breadcrumbs. Let's see this quickly here. I've got the Den of Geek article up right now as I speak. Let's see here. While seeking information from Ellie doesn't follow the subtlety of like Wolverine. Let's see here. The book. So yeah, she has a book called Decoding the Superhuman Gene. And there's an X on the book as well. A convenient X is made of light of the book. Some more mutant seeding there. Like the mutants. I said this in the first episode, but they're mutants, man. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're getting here. They're coming, and I can't wait for them to get here. Hopefully, maybe they'll get here by Deadpool 3. Deadpool 3 is going to be kind of like a send off to the Fox X-Men universe, but hopefully that'll be kind of an introduction to the MCU mutant side of things. But yeah, man, they're mutants. They're coming. They're coming. I can't wait. I can't wait for them to get here. Again, that's going to make the MCU proper crowded, unless Secret Wars is a reboot of some kind. But we'll see. But yeah, Nick Fury's the scenes between him and his wife are really good. Was there any more quite good scenes? The scenes between him and Rhodey, like when Rhodey starts acting really weirdly towards him, like really like quite aggressive and like not like himself, and then he obviously calls Nick Fury Nick, and he says in Captain Marvel, no one calls me Nick, and so he kind of got that's kind of like a little hint that Rhodey could be a Skrull, so it's revealed that Rhodey is a Skrull and that it's a female Skrull that's playing to be Rhodey as well, which was really quite shocking to see, and also the ending as well, where it's revealed that he was taken for a very long time, which we'll get into towards when we get towards the very end of this episode. Any more shocking scenes that I can remember? Let's see. I've already mentioned the torture scene with Olivia Colman and the Skrull. No, I think that's it really in terms of the shocking moments, really. But yeah, there were some pretty shocking moments, and as well, the relationship between Vera and Nick, was good, and it showed why he wanted to protect them. But I really also liked so obviously, again, this is like an espionage kind of thriller kind of vibe to it as well. But I did also really like the major themes of identity and kind of like losing yourself in a way presented in the show, like how Nick feels, how everyone kind of feels. A lot of the characters feel quite lost in the show. Like Nick feels lost because after the blip, he wasn't the same as he was before. He was blipped out for 5 years. Gravik feels lost because him and his people still don't have a home after waiting for years. They can't be in their own skin because of how humanity is going to react to them. Gaia herself also feels quite lost as well. She doesn't know where at first she thinks that she belongs with Gravik's people, but then she finds out that he killed her mother and then he killed her father, and now she's not sure which side she's on. Where she kind of belongs. There's a good sense of like belonging in this show, which I quite like. And I really like those themes in there because they really helped kind of elevate the characters and elevate the story, and showed you kind of a new side to these kind of characters. Nick in a way, and I guess Talos as well, because he was kind of kicked out of the Skrull Rebellion, shall we say, kicked out the leader, and Gravik replaced him. But yeah. Again, I really like those themes, how the show played into those themes. Like I said before, with Gaia, where she doesn't know where she stands. But then she eventually comes through and avenges her parents' death by killing Gravik. But yeah, I really like those themes in there. I liked how the series played out those themes as the show went on. And I really liked how, like, again, there was also a theme of who's who in this show. Like, I mentioned this before. I mean, it really did keep you guessing on who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull, how long has this person been a Skrull for? Like, again, like Rhodey, we don't know. We don't really hasn't been confirmed to us properly how long he's been a Skrull for, but I'll get to that a little bit later on. But yeah, like, really keep you guessing, like, who's who and what's gonna happen. It really did kind of build up that there was quite a lot of good tension and suspense there of, like, we don't know who's who, we don't know who our enemy is, who our allies are. And it really did help with the show a lot. It's just the same that, again, the finale again let the show down, which I'll get into later on. But yeah, let's talk about Rhodey now. Let's talk about Rhodey. First of all, Don Cheadle does a great job in this show, but Don Cheadle's always been great as Rhodey. And he does shine a lot in this show, like he's playing evil Rhodey, Skrull Rhodey. The mask is kind of off for him now. Like he's not hiding. He's not playing pretend anymore. Like he's like the scenes where he's being proper harsh to Nick, like in the second episode, where he kind of removes him from the mission, and he's like, he's proper evil in this. And he just shows, like, how versatile, that it shows you how versatile Don Cheadle can be as an actor, because he's essentially he's playing a fake Rhodey in this. Like he's got to play a convincing. He's got to play Rhodey where he's got to play a Skrull pretending to be a Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, and so he's got to play a Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, a character he's been playing for his whole MCU career. One idea that I've kind of had that I thought would be funny is that if they revealed that because obviously before Terrence Howard played Rhodey in Iron Man, the first Iron Man, and obviously they're doing a multiverse thing with it with this Zaga. So one idea that I really had that, excuse me, I don't know why I'm really gassy this podcast episode. Whoops. Oh well. And one idea I thought would be funny if they had it where it's revealed that the Skrull they were using to keep the body image alive was actually Terrence Howard's version of Rhodey, and that was the version that was taken and kept asleep. Like, turns out that he's been a Skrull the entire MCU time in the MCU. But obviously, yeah, that would be like, why? Because obviously Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard look nothing alike. But I just thought that would be a bit of a funny thing if they did that. But they didn't, which is fine because but they wouldn't have done it anyways. But that would have been funny. But when he was revealed to be a Skrull in episode 3, because obviously episode 2 hinted at it. It was like that was the big kind of like mic drop, like oh shit moment, and it's like how long has he been? And the question is now, like, how long has he been a Skrull for exactly? And if obviously the last episode, the finale, hints that he could have been a Skrull since Civil War, because obviously in Civil War he gets hit by Vision accidentally hits him in the chest, and he falls and he hurts and he crashes in his Iron Man suit. And he breaks his leg to the point where he gets and obviously he gets put in a hospital gown. And he goes through the MRI machine, and that's how he looks when he's found when the real Rhodey's found at the end in the pod. He's got the hospital gown on, and he's living with his legs. Where the show pretty much hints that was the moment in Civil War where he could have been taken by the Skrulls and he could have been duplicated. That's when the Skrull duplicate had been running around, and it's basically been a Skrull since then. It's like Infinity War, Endgame, Falcon Winter Soldier. That's all been a Skrull, Rhodey, and it's just like I don't know how I feel about that, because that means you can rewatch those movies and kind of look at that for a different lens, but at the same time it kind of ruins some of the best emotional moments from the whole MCU, like Iron Man's death, like in Endgame, like that was really even Infinity War, when Thanos snaps his fingers, everyone starts disappearing, and you see Rhodey's reaction. He's like, "What the hell's happening? What the hell's going on?" And like he's proper shocked about what's going on. But again, you could see that through a different lens, where that's the Skrull Rhodey who's like, "Oh shit, are my Skrull people disappearing as well? Like, what the hell's happening here?" But obviously when Iron Man dies and stuff like that, and you see Rhodey's reaction, you think that to yourself, that's genuine. Like a genuine, proper upset reaction that his friend died, and it was a great emotional moment. But now it turns out that oh no, that was a Skrull the entire time. He has no idea that Rhodey. He has no idea that Tony's dead, and that's just a bit. That takes away some of the weight and some of the weight from that, how powerful that moment is. We're seeing everyone's reactions to Tony dying, and and the fact that that one of them turned out to be a fake the entire time, and the one that turned out to be a fake ended up being his best friend, and it's like, why? I don't know. I'm mixing the whole thing. I mean, to be fair though, but to play devil's advocate, I guess, for that element, it does leave a good kind of thing for a good kind of arc for Armor Wars, when that eventually if that's still coming out. Like, I think, didn't that get removed from the release schedule again or something recently? Last I checked, it was removed. So I don't know so no clue when that movie's coming out, but that could be a good arc in Armor Wars, how he's been in that status of sleep the entire time. So he has no idea, that Rhodey's dead, that the blip happened, unless maybe him and the Skrulls' memories are connected somehow, but I doubt it. Unless there's something I've missed. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments below, and I'll feel free to correct me in the comments below, basically. And but yeah, like that could lead to a good arc where like he finds out what's happened. Like he finds out about the snap. He finds out about Tony being dead and the fact that his friend's gone and he's not coming back. And it's like that could be a really good kind of emotional kind of like arc for Rhodey in Armor Wars. How he's trying to get used to this new world where Tony's not here anymore, and he's got to take on the War Machine mantle and and kind of not be Iron Man's replacement, but like step in, try and step in those shoes for him. That could be a good arc for Armor Wars, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Because again, I don't know if Armor Wars is still coming out. Because Armor Wars was supposed to be a TV show for Disney Plus, and then it got changed to a movie. And now with all these delays going around, it's last I checked, it got taken off the schedule. So I've got no clue when that's coming out, which sucks because we get Samuel L. Jackson got given his due with this show, even though it's not the best, but I mean, no, it's okay. This is I do like this show, but all the other Disney I should probably reiterate, I do like this show, but like all the other Disney Plus shows, it's just not. I don't love it. It just feels like the same shtick where it starts off good, ends terribly. It's not a strong. It's not a strong due that Samuel Jackson deserved. But I do feel like Don Cheadle also deserves his due because he's getting on a bit now. He's like what, in his late 50s, I imagine. How old is Don Cheadle? Oh wait a second, I've actually got this. I've got the here we go. Here we go. We've got the wiki page here. He is. Yeah, he's 50. He's 58. He's pushing 60. He's literally almost 60 like now. So it's a bit like, and he's been in the MCU. He's been in the MCU since like 2009. So like he's well overdue. His own starring role. Like whether it's a movie, whether it's a movie or a Disney Plus show, he's owed something. Marvel owes him that. I really do hope Armor Wars does eventually come out. But we don't have any clue what's going on in the MCU at the moment because it's a fucking mess right now. It is a big mess right now, and I'll get on more into that later on towards the end. Does the emotional moments again? Maria and Taylor's death, that was a good emotional moment. Seeing Maria's mother react to her daughter's death, that was a good moment as well. Particularly when she's talking to Nick Fury. And she's basically saying to Nick Fury, "Make sure you avenge my daughter's death. Make sure she didn't die. Make sure she didn't die for nothing." You can really see the pain and the hurt on her face, and particularly when Maria did die, you saw the scene with Sam, with Nick. You saw the pain like when it was revealed that she wasn't a Skrull, and you could see the pain from his side that like his friend, one of his closest work colleagues ever, has just died, like it's just dead. And she's never coming back. And unlike Coulson, she's not coming back. Does Nick Fury even know that Coulson's still alive? He does, yeah, because in the second episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury pops up at the end. Sorry, that was a stupid thing to ask. Like, of course he knows that Coulson's still alive. It's the other Avengers that have no idea that Coulson's still alive, unless something happened. I mean, I didn't really watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I watched the first half of season 1, and then I gave up. It wasn't my thing. It was. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything. It just wasn't really. I wasn't engaged in it much. But I'll give it a second chance, considering how mid these Disney Plus shows have been. I'm gonna give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a second shot. Why not? I'll pick up where I left off with the second half of season 1 and go from there. I think there's like 7 seasons overall, so I'll go through those eventually. But yeah, like Maria's death. Good emotional moment. A lot of good emotional moments between Talos and Gaia, particularly when he's confronting Gaia on the ladder, and he finds out that she is the one that's been working with Gravik, and he's trying to talk to her and explain to her, look, your mom died, Gravik killed her, and then there's the thing on the bench where she calls him a fool for thinking that Skrulls and humans can live together, and that was really quite quite heartbreaking, especially when you consider the fact that he died in the very end of that very same episode. That's the last thing she said to him. She even says, she has there's a good little moment with her where she says, what kind of daughter says that to her dad? What kind of daughter makes that the last thing that she says to her father? And obviously Priscilla says, a daughter who thinks that she's going to see him the next day, something like that. Where it's like, it is pretty heartbreaking to see. and also the scenes again with Gravik like turns on his people, and he just straight up kills them. Or they turn on. Well, it wasn't really him turning on his people. It was more his people turn on him, and that was really good to see. That was really impactful. It was really there was a lot of suspense there, particularly as well, because you knew they were going to die. Like you knew they were going to die, because they're no match for Gravik, because Gravik is too powerful for him. But you do then suspense being like, how's he going to react to this? Because like he'll very happily kill one of his own if he has to get what he wants, which kind of makes Gravik a really cool villain. In a way, like he just does not care. Like he wants to get all these. He wants the harvest. Basically, it's all for basically him to get the harvest, and then so Nick can see the destruction of Earth and the humans and everything. So he can see that that all of this was pretty much Nick's fault, because it was Nick's fault in a way, because Nick was the one who promised them to find them a home, and he never did it. And then after the blip, he disappeared for 5 more years to go in space, and everyone got sick and tired of his shit. Basically, Gravik is sick and tired of Nick Fury's shit. That's the best way to put it. Any scene with Nick and his wife's a good emotional moment, really, like them talking about their relationship and everything. Particularly the final scene where she does decide to join him on the ship. That was a pretty heartfelt moment, as I said before. And they finally share an on-screen kiss and everything. And I do hope that she stays with him in space. I hope she doesn't come back to Earth. I want to see Priscilla again. Let's see, what was I completely forgot the name of her a scroll name. Where was the scroll name? Start with a V. Let's see, where is it? You're seeing me do this in real time. Varia, that's it. Varia. Vara. I think it's Vara. I'm gonna say Vara. Because that's how I've spelled it on my notes. If that's the wrong way to pronounce it, then I do apologize to all the scrolls out there for misspelling one of your people's name. There's some good emotional moments in there. You can expect that from a Marvel show, though. A Marvel show is always going to have some good emotional moments in there. Even the films or TV shows that tend to be straight up comedies have good emotional moments in them. There we go. Obviously some good powerful emotional moments in there, and yeah, that was really good. But let's talk about the major disadvantage of this series, and let's talk about the thing that let this show down for me, and it's the same thing that lets all these MCU shows down for me. It's the series finale. The series finales are always like this, with the exception of Loki season 1 and Falcon and Winter Soldier. For me, this is much my opinion. All the other shows, all the finales in the shows have just been terrible. They've been weak. They're terrible finales because, again, and I feel like, I don't know if it's because maybe the writers don't know how to do, because obviously because I live in the UK, right? So these kind of shows where they're 6 parts, 5 episodes, 6 episodes, 10 episodes, 8 episodes, that's like our bread and butter. We like to do short shows, like short series. Short serials like that's pretty much our UK's bread and butter. We know how to do that, and we know how to do it well. But I don't know, but with American writers, they're more used to doing shows where it's 20 episodes a season, 21 episodes a season. Whoops, I just put my table there. 18 episodes a season, something like that. Like the Daredevil TV show upcoming, and they split them into 2 halves. Usually, you have the first half, then there's a break, then you have the second half, and then they have the next season premiere later on that year. That's the way that the American shows usually do it, and I don't know. Maybe it's because the American writers, because it's not. I wouldn't say it's a new format for American writers, but it's new. But it's becoming more common. So I think maybe a lot of American writers are trying to get used to the whole short series, short format thing going on. But I don't know, man. I feel like Marvel should probably either increase the episode count, or maybe, I don't know. I'll go into what I feel like Marvel should do with these shows later on further on in the podcast. But yeah, so it just feels so, the finale just feels so rushed. It's 30 minutes long. This should have been an hour long at least. Not 30 minutes. 30 minutes is just not enough time to cram everything together, to tie up all the loose ends, and to give us a satisfying conclusion to this story. That's just not how that's not how TV works. Because as I've said before, these do not feel like TV shows. These feel like movies that have been cut up into TV shows. And that's not how you do TV. You write if you want to do a TV show, write a TV show. Plan out your episodes, and don't just make a movie and then just cut it up into different. I know they're not. I know that's not what they actually did, but that just feels like what they've done, because Marvel Studios is so more, because Marvel Studios is so used to doing movies, and Marvel Entertainment were the ones that did the TV show side of things. They're the ones that did the Netflix shows, the ABC shows, so Marvel's still trying to find their feet with the TV side of things. But even then, 30 minutes is just not enough time to handle everything. It just feels rushed. It feels like they've packed in too much. And again with these shows, they build and they build, and then you get to the finale, and then it's just explosion. It just falls off the face of the earth. It just they pack too much stuff in. It feels too stuffed. These things, the plot threads feel like they've not been resolved, and it just feels rushed. And it's like we gotta race through this. We gotta set this up complete. And it just makes them feel like they're not a self-contained story. Like the movies, like Shang-Chi, for example, is a pretty self-contained story. You don't have to watch fucking 2-3 other projects to get what happens in Shang-Chi. You know what I mean? Like the only other film you probably have to watch for Shang-Chi is Iron Man 1, and even then you don't even have to watch that. You don't have to watch Iron Man 3 because Ben Kingsley shows up and he catches everyone up with what happened to Iron Man 3. So you don't really need to watch that. But with these TV shows, because obviously they're following up, like one division follows up, leads into Spider-Man. Well, not Spider-Man, but Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. So if you want to get what happens in there, you have to watch WandaVision. And again, and with the exception of What If and Moon Knight, that kind of approach to the TV shows makes them not feel great and just not self-contained. And it's, people are going to get confused, and people are going to be like, and just going to make this the casual viewer and it's going to alienate the casual viewer in a weird way, who doesn't really keep up with the MCU stuff. Because that's what a lot of people seem to think that MCU, it's all the fan bases, or that's what gets the box office, but it really isn't. Like, you'd be amazed how often a lot of box office success is mostly due to the casual viewers. Really, and same with the TV show and the ratings. It's all down to the casual viewer, really, who wants to tune in, because they know the fans are going to tune in. But even the fan base, your fan base may seem big and huge, but really, they're quite, compared to the casual viewers, they're quite small. And doing the TV shows like this, where they're more connected than ever, they don't feel self-contained, except for Moon Knight and What If, like I said before. But again, that stuff just alienates the casual viewer, and you do not want to alienate the casual viewer. That's why a lot of the ABC shows and Netflix shows were really successful, because they were self-contained. You didn't have to watch 4 other films or shows to get what was happening in those. You didn't even really need to watch the Avengers to get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Really, at least I don't think so anyway. But again, I only watched the first half of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so what do I know? But you don't have to watch stuff like The Runaways or Cloak and Dagger or anything else. Or the Inhumans, though then again, I think Marvel wants you to forget about the Inhumans massively. They ain't coming back, let's be honest. The Eternals have a chance of coming back. The Inhumans definitely do not have a chance of coming back, ever, as far as I'm aware. And then in the actual finale itself, again, it just feels rushed and everything. And then we get to the final part of the finale. We've got Nick Fury walking in. Obviously, it's Gaia in disguise. Which leads to the question of how did Gravik not know it was a Skrull? Surely Gravik would know that it was a Skrull in disguise, but whatever, I guess. I know there are points where Skrulls can fall over Skrulls and stuff, but surely Gravik has gotten that good at predicting people that he knows that it's a Skrull. Come on. And then Gravik turns on, and Nick Fury gives him the Harvest, which is all the Avengers powers combined, all the DNA of the Avengers. Which is really cool, which is a cool idea, but then he gives them to Gravik, and then Gravik, puts him in the machine, and then he doesn't bother pushing Nick Fury out of the machine for some reason, which, I know he gets it that, the machine works for Skrulls, it doesn't work for humans. I get that, but even so, wouldn't you be a bit more careful and, just push him out of the machine? He's pretending, you think he's dying, so you may as well, get the fuck out, get out of my machine. I'm absorbing all of this. And then, so when he got with the powers and stuff, I was just like, oh, here we go. He's got the powers. He's gonna kick his ass, and then it turns to the Gaia, and then it's like, oh god, it's just giving Gaia all. I think John Campier said this perfectly on his podcast, but giving Gaia all the powers of all of the Marvel characters combined is just one of the dumbest things the MCU has ever done. It's one of the dumbest things I've seen in the MCU. She's just way too overpowered now, and it's like, what is the point of the MCU now? We don't need the MCU anymore. We can just call Gaia. Like, hey Gaia, do you mind destroying that ship for us? Thank you. Oh Gaia, do you mind stopping those robbers down the street? Cheers for that. Oh Gaia, Kang's around. Can you kick his ass? Thank you for that. You've got all the powers there, and it just makes her so overpowered to hell, and it's just like, there's no point to the MCU anymore. Like, again, this is a problem that a lot of the MCU heroes are starting to get way too OP now. And it's like, just again, this takes away, because the multiverse thing already takes away kind of the stakes a bit of, particularly with death, because we can just go to the multiverse and get a new version of something that takes away the stakes of death and stuff like that. But this takes away her being overpowered as hell, takes away any stakes really, because she's got all the powers, so she can just kick anyone's ass. And that's like, there's no the stakes of threat, there's no fear, there's no threat in the MCU anymore. There's no like tension in the MCU anymore, because it's like, again, we can just call Gaia and just and just get her to do all the work. And it's just like, I don't know. It's so dumb. It's dumb. It's just dumb. It's so dumb. And it's like, and again, I don't get why she even decides, oh yeah, I'm gonna go join Sonya, because it's like, again, like, why would she join Sonya? Like, she can just kick Sonya's ass. Like, Sonya doesn't need her. And she's just a bit like me, like, and she just go, no, you're not. I'm not joining you. Go away. Like, I've got healing powers, motherfucker. Go away. It's like, you can shoot me, but I will just heal. So doesn't matter. And it's just like, I don't know. Like, it's just so dumb, and it just lets the show down again. It just like these finales, man. They're not good finales. They're not good finales. You need. Having a strong opener is one thing, but you've got to have a good finale. You need to have a good finale. Otherwise, when you're a Doctor Who fan like me, you know the importance of a good finale. Like, trust me on that one. Like, we've had, us Doctor Who fans have had so many crap like series finales over the past few years. Like, ones like The Wedding with a Song, or Dark Water, Death in Heaven, Hellbent is terrible, really. Yeah, like we've had some proper stinkers like over the years of series finales. So you know a thing or two about having a good series finale and how important that shit is to a show. You can have a strong opener, but if that finale isn't strong enough, the whole thing just crumbles and falls apart. And yeah, and it just lets finale down. It just feels rushed as well, like, and it just feels so predictable now. It's like, particularly when Sonya like calls up Rhodey and it's like, oh yeah, Nick Fury's on your tail, and you're like, oh, this is something's gonna happen, and they're gonna show up, and they're gonna save the president. The nuke thing's not gonna launch, and it's so predictable. It's so predictable. Even like the whole thing of Nick Fury's like clearly dying from the radiation and stuff. Like, we knew that. Like, you knew he wasn't gonna die because like he's in the trailers for the Marvels. It's the same thing when Gaia, died in episode 3. She just came back to life, and we knew that was gonna happen because Gaia does the footage from the trailers that we didn't see yet, from the trailers and stuff. We knew Gaia was going to live, and again, that takes away any suspense, any stakes, any threats. Again, they could have, like, obviously Marvel could have like filmed footage just to trick people. Like, they've done that before. They did that with Infinity War, when they deliberately filmed scenes that they weren't going to put in the film, but put in the trailers for the marketing to like catch people off guard, and which is fine. Like, I'm not like against that or anything, but like, I obviously done that in the past, but even then, like, they haven't done that in a while, and even then, like, we knew Guy was gonna. You had a feeling Guy was gonna come back. Like, you don't bring in a powerhouse like Emilia Clarke and then kill her off after like the 3rd episode. You just don't do that. You just don't do that. You just don't do that in the show, even though they don't give Emilia Clarke great material to work with. Whatsoever. But yeah. So as for the big fight between her and between Gaia and Gravik, it looked fine, I guess, but I was getting a bit, Man of Steel vibes from her. The Man of Steel vibes from that fight. It did feel very Man of Steel. Not to say the fights in Man of Steel were bad or anything. Like, again, I've said this before. I like Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is a good movie. And I do like the fights, but it was definitely that thing was definitely giving me some good old Man of Steel vibes there. But again, seeing her using all different powers, like yeah, it's cool, but it just again the fact that she's OP as fuck, it's like it just doesn't. Even like seeing all the like the little fans that were seeing like oh she has those powers and those powers and those powers, it's like it's just again just takes away from that the fun and everything. Like seeing her be this overpowered, it's just I don't know, just ruins the MCU for me. Ruins it. It just ruins the MCU for me. Just ruins it. I mean, it won't ruin the whole MCU. Like I'm still gonna love things from the MCU, but well, who knows at this point, considering how the MCU seems to be going now, which I'll get onto in a little bit. And yeah, so yeah, that was pretty much how everyone wanted to talk about the finale. Really, like a 30-minute downfall of disappointment. Really, but then again, that's nothing new for these shows. You know, they always have the terrible finales. One thing I did like about the finale though was actually the ending. Like the ending. When I say the ending, I mean the ending of when the president orders people to kill the Skrulls. So he's saying, you know, oh, we're being invaded by these Skrulls, and they've taken over our homes and everything as well. We know who you are. We can find you, and we'll kill you on sight. He's actually ordering them. He's actually ordering people to kill him on sight. Well, obviously it's officials, but you know for a fact that you see like vigilantes killing people, and it's like when the Prime Minister of England gets shot because they think she might be a Skrull, and then it turns out like she's died. No, she's died. She's dead. And stuff, and it is really shocking to see. That is another shocking thing I should mention. That was also another shocking scene as well, and just give this kind of thing of like, oh, Earth's for humans. You're not wanted here. You're not welcome. And obviously, that plays into the theme of like of immigration and stuff like that, where it's like you're not welcome to you're not welcome here. Go away. You're not welcome. And that's definitely like, and that definitely. It definitely does set up quite an interesting thing it does set up a new kind of motive like view for the MCU going forward, like how a Skrull's going to survive in the MCU. I guess that also kind of gives Gaia another reason to like team up with Sonya, I guess, but again, Gaia's overpowered. Like she has all the powers of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters. If a human tries shooting her, she'll just heal, and then she'll punch his head off with her Thanos arm. She'll just grow a Thanos arm and just go oosh, and then like crush the guy's head. Like this don't work. Like this doesn't work. Like I'm still finding issues here with this making Gaia overpowered. Why is she so OP? I mean, I guess somewhere down the line they could do a thing where they establish that actually the powers are killing her. They gotta take her away or something. But right now, like she's too OP. She's too OP. That shit's gotta get retconned. Come on, Kevin Feige, retcon that shit. Retcon it. You pretty much retconned Wanda's origin story. From having it be like, oh, she got her powers from being an experiment to actually being born with the powers, which I guess kind of hints at her mutant history. And yeah, but yeah. Anyway, back to the president thing. So but speaking of the mutants. So obviously the ending is that I've not seen people talk about this yet, but I'm sure by the time I finish recording this, someone's going to post an article or a YouTube video talking about this. But yeah, like obviously the president gives this fake word out where it's like this planet is for humans and humans only. Skrulls are not welcome here. Aliens are not welcome here. Humankind is the only thing that's welcome here. Go away. And if you come in here, we'll kill you on sight. So, like, excuse me, sorry about that. So, like, the fact that they're doing that for Skrulls, for aliens, it does make you wonder how they're going to react when mutants get involved, like when mutants start appearing, like because obviously, mutants like they're it's like a mutation. How are they going to react when mutants are involved? Are they going to try and get rid of the mutants too? Is the president going to be like, no, these mutants are too dangerous. We need to get rid of them now. And that definitely like sets up that kind of thing it sets up an interesting way of like how it does kind of hint at I think it does sort of hint how they're going to handle the whole mutants thing when they eventually get into the MCU and mutants start appearing, and it kind of does. I hope that it shows like how mutants are going to be treated, because obviously as Deadpool says in Deadpool 2, X-Men are just a dated metaphor for racism and homophobia from the 60s. And yeah. And yeah, I feel like it definitely sets up how they're going to react. How they're going to react when mutants get involved. And which I'm really looking, which I am interested in seeing. I am interested in seeing how the MCU is going to handle the X-Men and the mutants, particularly. And I mean, those mutants, man, they're coming, they're coming. And yeah, I can't wait for that. Hopefully they get here soon, because the MCU needs mutants now more than ever. In my opinion, we need something a bit more interesting. Which way I want to crack on? My last kind of point to make in this podcast is, I kind of want to get to talk about the MCU as a whole as of right now. So in my Phase 4 episode, I said that Phase 4 to me felt a lot like Phase 1, in more of a sense that we're starting a brand new saga. And they're trying to, so they're doing a lot of. It felt like at the time that they're doing a lot of experimentation, to try and find their groove with this multiverse saga that they're doing, that they're building. Building. I put that in quotes, but that they're building, and setting up and stuff, and they're trying to find their groove, trying to find their fit, like they did with the Infinity Saga with Phase 1, 2, and 3. So that's what I said at the time, because at the time that's what I thought was going on. But honestly, we're only 3 projects into Phase 5. We've got one more movie coming out and 2 more shows coming out. If the Marvels doesn't end up getting delayed again because of the actors and writers strike. And we're 3 projects in, and it just feels like there's no. I'm still not getting what the idea is with the multiverse saga. I'm not getting the groove. There's no, because by the time we got to Phase 2, the formula was starting to take shape. The formula they were using for the Infinity Saga was starting to take shape. And this one, this saga, it just that's not seeming to be happening. We don't know what the formula is. We don't know what the groove, what the idea is. How we're supposed to feel with this multiverse saga. And again, to repeat what John Campea said, the MCU just has no identity anymore. We really should be getting the idea of what the identity of the MCU is for this multiverse saga. Now, right, somewhat we don't know exactly, but we should be starting getting an idea, but we don't. We're 3 projects in, and we've had a really shit film, a really great movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was shit. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was fantastic. But that didn't really put things into place. That was more just a conclusion to the Guardians of the Galaxy story arc. And now we're into Secret Invasion, a very again mid TV show, we just don't know. It just doesn't have any idea. We don't know what the formula is. We don't know what we're supposed to feel about the saga. We just don't know anything. And to me, the way I'm feeling about the saga now is that I feel like, to me, Marvel doesn't really want to do this saga. In a way, I feel like Marvel doesn't want to do this multiverse saga. That's what it feels like to me. I feel like because Marvel really want to do mutants. We know this because they keep seeding in the mutants. They're seeding them in quietly and in almost every project. Whether it's a small cameo from a previous X-Men actor, or a little thing in the background, or in this show where they've got the book, or they're setting up how humans are going to react to mutants and the prejudice that humans are going to have with mutants. How they think mutants are going to be dangerous. We get that little seeding there. But obviously, they have to, because of how big the MCU is, they have to ease in the mutants, as well as, I think there was a thing last year that got revealed about a contracts thing where all the old X-Men actors had contracts lasting for 5 years that Marvel might be waiting to expire. So they can't really do mutants just yet. And obviously, we've got Deadpool 3 coming out. Mutants are going to be in that. We know that all the other X-Men characters are probably going to be in that, and that'll be kind of the send off to those characters. But I doubt that those characters are coming into the MCU anytime soon, unless they bring them back for Secret Wars. But even then, like, it does feel like Marvel doesn't really want to do this saga. Like, they want to do the mutant saga, which obviously is now being rumored to be, which a lot of scoopers are claiming is now going to be the next saga. Like phases, 7, 8, and 9 will be the mutant saga. And I feel like, judging from the way that this multiverse saga has been, that kind of, it feels like Marvel doesn't want to do this saga. They want to get to the mutant saga. That's the one they're more interested in, but because of having to introduce them in the universe and having to because they can't, because even without the contracts thing, they can't really chuck mutants into the MCU straight away and just be like, oh yeah, they exist now. The mutants are a thing that they sort of have to they do have to seed in. So it just feels like they're like, oh, okay, we'll do a multiverse, we'll do this multiverse saga, we'll seed them in, and then the mutant saga is that's the one we really want to do. That's what we really want to do. And yeah, like it feels like maybe they could, and it does feel like, but again, when they do that, the MCU will be really full and really crowded. So maybe Secret Wars could be a reboot of some kind, like a soft reboot of some kind, where it's not a complete reset, but it's like a soft little reset, so we can have mutants in there, and things could be a bit more streamlined in a weird way. And yeah, so that's pretty much why I'm not really feeling this multiverse saga. And Phase 5 so far is just not great. I thought this and hopefully I do know, and I don't get me wrong, Bob Iger has said that like they are going to start scaling back on the content. I'm getting really fucking sick and tired of hearing that word. I fucking hate that word. But they're scaling back on the shows and stuff like that to try and focus more on quality rather than quantity, and that's great. That's getting wrong. That's great. That's what they should have been doing the entire time. But like Bob Chapek took over by the time we got to the Phase 4, and Disney under Bob Chapek was not a good era. Let's just say that. There's a reason why he only lasted like 2 or 3 years, I think, as CEO of Disney. And then Bob Iger had to come back in, and and now Bob Iger is staying on to 2027 now to clean up his mess. So obviously they're scaling back on the content and stuff. But honestly, thinking about it more and more, I don't think Marvel should not do any more TV shows. I don't think we should no more TV shows from Marvel Studios, because as I've said before, these TV shows feel like movies. These feel like movies that have been chopped up into episodes. I just feel like that they're not great. Like they're not bad. Like I don't come out of these shows hating them, but I come out of these shows most of these shows I come out liking them enough. But again, I don't really want to like with most of my MCU stuff, I don't want to come out just liking something. I want to come out going, yeah, I love that. That was punching the air. Because like I used to when I went to go see like the MCU movies, like Infinity War and Endgame and Homecoming and Far From Home, and like last time I felt that way was recently was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I was like, yeah, that was a good movie, punching the air. Wasn't really punching the air, but you know what I mean. That's the feeling I want to get. Like I don't want this feeling of that was alright, that was good, I liked it. Like no, I want the feeling of I loved that was so good. That was so good. That's the feeling I want from my MCU content. I know we can't get that with every project, but I just miss having that feeling all the time. I just feel like most of these TV shows, I just don't have that feeling with these. Like, just don't. They're not. Like I don't think Marvel Studios are great at doing a TV show. They're more good at doing movies, and I feel like maybe they should have just made these straight to streaming movies. You know what I mean? Like movies that were made straight for like deliberately for being put on a streaming service, rather than just making them into 6-part episode series that have shit finales and have a lot of build up and don't go anywhere and everything. That's what I feel like they should really be doing instead. If they really want to continue doing content for Disney Plus, then maybe they should stop TV shows and just do straight to streaming films instead. Really, I think they should stop doing these shows in general, because I don't think like these shows are doing very well. Like like there's a reason why Armor Wars decided, they were like, oh yeah, no, it's making a movie instead, because it probably didn't work as a show. And the plot and reading the plot synopsis and stuff like that for it doesn't sound like it would work for a show. It does sound better suited for a film, and I feel like all these shows are better suited for films. Even She-Hulk, I feel like would have been better as a film. I feel like Marvel should just like go back to focusing on what they do best, which is movies, and maybe just leave the TV side of things. Maybe go back to leaving the TV side of things to Marvel Entertainment, or if they really want to do straight to streaming movies, like movies that were made straight for streaming. And I know that a lot of these straight streaming movies don't have the best quality, but this is Marvel talking about here. Marvel Studios, they could easily focus on the quality of them. They would flow a lot more better. That would make a lot more sense. They wouldn't feel as crammed and stuffed if you just made them like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour like straight streaming films. Like why not? Like, just don't do any more TV shows. Make them streaming movies instead. Because why not? Like, I mean, obviously we had the special presentations for Werewolf by Night. That was great. That was good. That was solid. Because didn't feel like a TV show where everything just felt rushed and stuffed. And then a lot of plot threads were set up in the first episode and then just came crashing down by the last episode. No, it was a good story from beginning, middle, and end. It flowed really well. Werewolf by Night. Why not? So why not do that? But instead of doing that for a special presentation, just do that. Make that for a straight to streaming movie of some kind. Just do that. Like it'll have a bit of a low budget. And it'll have a TV movie vibe to it, but. Like anything's better than these shows, man. Like these shows just not hitting the mark. They start off well, like you think they're gonna hit the mark, but it's always the finales that let them down. And I just think maybe Marvel should just stop doing TV shows. Marvel Studios should stop doing the TV shows and just concentrate on making movies, whether it's for cinema or for straight to streaming movies. Any of those two. I don't think they should do any more TV shows. Obviously, animated stuff. Yeah, do TV shows for animated TV shows like X-Men. Is it 89? The new X-Men show that's coming out. If that's still in the works, I have no clue. Spider-Man Freshman Year. If that's still in the works, again, I have no fucking clue. If that's still in the works, because all the fucking behind the scenes one drama behind it. We've got What If. Obviously, we don't. Well, we have no update. We've had no updates for season 2 of What If. And we've had no updates for Marvel Zombies, the animated Marvel Zombie show they were making. And the MCU is just really not in a great place at the moment. And hopefully we can start getting good again. Get good. But we'll see. We will see. We will see. So overall, Secret Invasion was just another Disney Plus Marvel TV show. Started off really strong. It got me into it with the first few episodes. I was getting into it, but the last episode, the finale let me down again, and it fumbled with the finale again. And a lot of other people, for the looks of things, a lot of people are just not enjoying the show. And I can't really say I blame them. Obviously, the show will have its fans, and I'm glad it has its fans. I'm glad it's gonna have people that. Excuse me, that was a big burp, that one. I know these people, these shows are gonna have their fans. And I'm great for that. If you like this show, if you love this show, all the more power to you. Like honestly, all the more power to you. I don't hate the show. I like it, but I don't. Like I said before, I don't want to come out of my MCU products, shows, movies, what have you, just liking them or just thinking that was mid, that was all right. I want to come out of really loving them, and the only shows I've done that have done that for me were Falcon and Winter Soldier, and season 1 of Loki, and we've got 2 more shows in the works. We've got Echo, which I've heard they're just going to dump on Disney Plus, Netflix style, and we've got Loki season 2, which I am looking forward to. Which we haven't seen much of Loki season 2. We've not seen anything of Echo either. Is that even going to come out? Still, I think it's still on track, but they could delay it again, like the Marvels, because of the writer's strike and the actors' strike. Just by the way, people, support the WGA, support the writers, and support the Actors Guild of America, because we gotta support them. I support them, and you all should be supporting them as well, because they deserve to be paid fairly, they deserve to be treated fairly. And right now they're being fucked over by the industry. So yeah, I support the Actors Guild and I support the Writers Guild of America. All the power to them. Keep fighting the good fight, and hopefully they get a deal that that satisfies everybody. Even if it means delaying, delaying all the movies that I want to go see. It's better to if you got to delay it, then fine. I don't care. I'd rather have people being paid fairly and equally, being treated fairly and equally, than have them being screwed over. So support those. So overall, it was just another Disney Plus show, Secret Invasion. Out of 5, I give it a 3. Out of 10, I give it a 6. Overall, so yeah, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And that's pretty much it for Secret Invasion, everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in for this an hour and 29 minutes episode. Wow, this episode turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. Just a little bit of housekeeping though before I let you go. So as you guys know, I have a bachelor and master's in film and TV production. But trying to find work within the film and TV industry has been really hard, especially after COVID and everything. So I have a website. My website's linked down in the description below. You can go check it out. On the website, you can see all the credits I've done thus far, or mostly all the voluntary short films that I've made or helped make. Well, that I've helped make in the past. And all you can see access to my show reel. You can find out more about me. Who I'm willing to work for. And everything. Right now, I'm currently only doing it on a voluntary basis at the moment. But once I get my driver's license sorted out, I will be doing it on a freelance basis. So right now, I'm doing a voluntary basis. So yeah, so right now, if you're a film student or you're a guy who just wants to make a movie on a weekend or something like that, and you need some help, let me know. Send me for the website, so you'll find out how to get in contact with me and everything. So all the contact details and everything will be on the website there. But if you're not into that sort of stuff, but you do like this podcast and you like me making this podcast, then please share my website around. Share it around, get it shared around, and everything. You don't have to be a regular viewer here. You don't even need to subscribe, really. As long as you share my website around, I'll be happy, and I'll keep making this podcast because I really enjoy doing this podcast. To be honest, this has been probably. Doing this podcast has been the highlight of my year so far. So yeah, everybody. So yeah, please share my website around. Visit my my LinkedIn will also be put in the description below, like it always is. And yeah, and I will see you when I see you next.